Ever wondered how our hunter-gatherer past might be influencing our modern consumer habits? It's a fascinating question, isn't it? Let's delve into this a bit. In the time before humanity learned to farm the land and raise domestic animals, we lived as hunters and gatherers. This was a life defined by the pursuit of game and the foraging of food, a life where every new sunrise brought new challenges and new rewards. Now, fast forward thousands of years to our modern societies. We no longer hunt animals for sustenance, but we do hunt for something else: new experiences, pleasures, and possessions. Whether it's the latest gadget, a new piece of furniture, or the latest fashion trend, we are constantly on the prowl, seeking out the new and exciting. But there's a twist. While our hunter-gatherer ancestors sought out necessities for survival, we often find ourselves hunting for things we don't necessarily need. And when we acquire these items, we don't just discard them when they've served their purpose. We store them, much like our ancestors might have stored food and other resources. This instinct to collect and store can lead to cluttered homes filled with unnecessary items. Think of bread machines gathering dust, fitness equipment turned clothes hanger, and other similar items. They fill our corners and closets, creating a sort of modern-day cave filled with the spoils of our hunts. And so, we find ourselves in a situation where we are hunters and gatherers once more, albeit in a different context. We hunt for new experiences and gather possessions, many of which we don't need but can't seem to part with. This behavior reflects a deep-seated instinct, one that harkens back to our ancestors who lived thousands of years ago. It's a fascinating connection, isn't it? A link that spans millennia, tying us to a past we might think we've long since left behind. So, we've seen how consumerism might just be a new face of our ancient hunter-gatherer instincts, but where do we store all these possessions when our homes run out of space? Well, that's a story for another scene. Enter the business-wise, ingenious solution of the modern era: self-storage units. Our homes overflowing with possessions, we've turned to an absurd innovation in real estate business: the self-storage unit. These are not mere warehouses, but rather, they are the testament to our modern-day gathering instincts. Emerging as a profitable business venture, self-storage units have become increasingly common, especially in the dense urban landscapes of Western countries. You might have noticed them, these nondescript warehouses dotting city blocks, standing as silent custodians of our surplus possessions. But how did these warehouse hotels, as some call them, become such a sought-after real estate proposition? Well, the answer lies in the changing dynamics of our workspaces. As we've shifted towards digital workspaces, many traditional offices have found themselves vacant. Enterprising individuals saw an opportunity in these vacant spaces and converted them into self-storage units. Now, these aren't just any storage spaces. They are climate-controlled, secure, and accessible round the clock. They cater to our need for space and do so much more efficiently than traditional office spaces. In fact, these units offer a better rent per square meter, making them a lucrative option for property owners. What's more, these units aren't just for storing your old bread machine or fitness equipment. They've become a solution for businesses needing space to store inventory, for people in between moves, or for those who've downsized their homes but not their belongings. And here's the interesting: when people first rent these units, they typically see it as a temporary solution. I'll just store my stuff here until I sort things out, they think. However, the reality often turns out to be different. The one-time solution becomes a long-term commitment. That rented space becomes a part of our lives, storing items that we believe someday could come in handy. It seems that self-storage units have become our modern-day granaries. So what happens once we start using these units? You might think renting a self-storage unit is a temporary solution, but is it really? Here's a hidden insight. These rentals often extend for years, surpassing the original plans. You shouldn't be astonished. Our innate hesitation to let go of items, irrespective of their seeming uselessness, keeps us anchored to these storage units. It's paradoxical, isn't it? Spending money to store items we may never again behold, let alone use. There's a perpetual conflict between longing for novel experiences and our primitive impulse to collect and store. In essence, we're still hunters and gatherers, only now we hunt experiences and gather possessions. And these self-storage units? They're the modern caves, sheltering our contemporary hunting trophies. So it appears our hunter-gatherer past is still profoundly reflected in our current consumerism, from our chase for fresh experiences to our instinct to gather and store. And self-storage units? They are the 21st century caves harboring our present-day hunting trophies. This video was brought to you by Mika Horelli. If this content piqued your interest, be sure to follow this channel at History's Future. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up. Stay tuned for more thought-provoking observations of our lives.